Everybody, Professor Plow here in the radio television building, part of Scripps College of Communication. Today's video lesson is going to be about setting up an interview. And first things first, we're going to take a look at our location. So I'm going to walk through here, take a look. We're going to be in a classroom here. And I'm going to give you kind of a quick tour and take a look at that space here. Just a standard classroom at OU. And I chose this location simply because you don't know where you're going to shoot your interview. And if you put in the time and scout a good location, there are some things to look out for. One is that this is a pretty expansive space, and I like that. I need some room to work in order to set up what I feel is a good interview. And then also take a look at the, let's get this right, natural light here. And that's a key factor for me because I don't want to drag a bunch of lights in order to set up some good lighting. And natural light is some of the best lighting that you can use anyway. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get set up here. I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. Okay, the next step that you see that I've done here is I've cleared some space. According to the lecture on the PowerPoint, we really do need to pay attention to how much space is between our subject and the background. So I've chosen that sort of Z-axis to be really, really long. And I want to do that because I want to try to throw it out of focus if possible using depth of field or shallow depth of field. And also I want to have a situation where I don't have a really visually noisy or distracting background right behind my participant. And also the way the window kind of works out here, I only have two options if I want to capture natural light. And again, this would be according to the PowerPoint lecture, where we want to place our person that's going to be interviewed kind of perpendicular to the direction of that natural light. And I've got two options. I've got this right here, and then I've got that back there. And that window back there is so close to that back wall. So this is a logical option for me. So I'm going to set my camera roughly where my camera is now, and we'll show that setup. And I'm going to position my subject here, and then we're also going to show you the position of the interviewer so you can kind of see the whole setup. All right, so you can see here from the two camera setup that we've got our camera position. Because we only have a short tripod, we need the table here. And we have the director sitting on a particular side of the camera. In this case, he's sitting to his right of the camera, my left. And then we've got myself as the interview subject sitting facing the director, and the light coming in, the natural light coming in perpendicular to my gaze or my positionality. And that's important because what we really want is this light to be a nice soft side key. And you can see from the camera positioning, if we cut to the actual shot of it, I would be not looking at the camera, I would be looking at the director, and the director would be asking me questions, and I would be responding to that. And so notice that I'm also framed up over on the left-hand side of the frame because I'm looking off to the right? I'm looking off to the director. And so by framing us up using those rule of thirds, I need to be on the left-hand side, and we call that lead room or nose room. And so if I'm looking off to the right, I have to be framed up onto the left. But notice as well that the director is purposefully positioned right of camera because this is allowing me to cheat toward him, right? Thereby allowing a little bit more natural light to spill over. Now, if I were looking to the other side of the camera, this would restrict the amount of light, and we'd have more dark than we would light. So by having the director sit here and having me focused on the director and answering those questions, it allows me to cheat, what we call cheat or tilt toward the light and have that light kind of wash over to the dark side of my face. It just allows for a little bit more natural light to reach all of my face without me moving too much and having that light just bombard my face, kind of flatten the image, And then also it's really difficult for your subject to stare into, a bright window. So they could be squinting and doing things like that and showing that discomfort. So what we want to have is this situation where I'm just cheated out, just tilted toward the light a little bit, getting it to be a side light or a side key, and then having everything kind of match up. Now the background, I don't know if I'm able to throw it completely out of focus on my phone. I would be able to if I were shooting with a DSLR, but I've removed a lot of the distracting elements. What we have is just sort of like a little bit of curtain and a little bit of like green wall. So it kind of looks like a classroom, but yet nothing behind me is really standing out, and nothing behind me is really screaming for attention. Okay, so now a mention of audio. As you can see, I've got a cable exiting sort of like where I've got the charging the USB-C port for my phone, and that is connected to my lavalier or my body microphone here pinned to my shirt. And as you can see from the camera composition, I'm going to try to position the mic so that it's below the frame line. And that's not always required. If you had a wider interview composition, it is okay to see the mic head positioned here. However, we really shouldn't see the cable kind of trailing away. So you can see what I've done here is I've routed the cable through a couple of buttons of my shirt, and that's enough to hide it. And then it's okay to see this position here. But for me, since my interview frame is pretty tight, I don't really need to see the mic either, and that's the best situation. So you can see from this that we're also using audio in our audio equipment in order to get really good sound as well as really good image. So if we take advantage of everything that we have in here, notice that our footprint is really small, but we needed a big space in order to get that background pushed far off, and we've successfully used the natural light here.